So let me introduce myself. My name is Rebecca Trowell and I was the HR consultant for the Sound and Music project. My organisation is called Octivolve and I was engaged by Matthew Greenhall, who was the project lead for the HR stream during the project. The process of engagement was Matthew had created a brief for the HR stream which he sent out to a number of organisations, and I was asked to pitch for that work. I sent in a proposal that had a breakdown of how I would approach the project based on the organisational brief that was put together. I was selected to work with Sound and Music based on my experience and background. My experience and background is mainly in small businesses, specialising in change projects and HR strategy, developing and delivering HR strategy. There were four main phases to the project. The first being the design of the terms and conditions for the new organisation. It's very important when creating an organisation to have an HR infrastructure. We wanted to create a comparable package to other organisations within the sector, so we could both transition people over to the new organisation, but also the terms and conditions and the package would have longevity and be able to attract new people to the organisation with the appropriate capabilities to deliver the business strategy. The deliverables in that area was an employment contract, a handbook, a suite of benefits, and also terms and conditions of employment, standard forms. So when the organisation was up and running, the HR department could be managed by the management team, bearing in mind it was a small organisation. The second phase of the project was to design an organisational structure. The design of the organisational structure looked at levels within the organisation, from senior roles to more junior roles and interns. We also looked at developing the scope of those roles. What would people be doing? What would we want to preserve? What would we want to stop doing? And we'd also produce job descriptions and person specs. We looked at competencies and what competencies needed to be in those job descriptions, making sure that we were in line with the mission and values of the organisation. The third phase of the project was to look at the transition. The transition was the legal transfer of the founding organisations into the new organisation, Sound and Music. This was both a legal process and obviously a human transitional process. Shortly after the legal transfer, we then went into phase 4 of the HR project, which was all about restructuring. So having created this new organisational structure, we needed to populate that structure through the existing founding organisations. We went through both an external and an internal recruitment process, and we used testing and skills analysis in order to match competencies from their current roles into these new existing roles. Out of that process came a number of redundancies for those people that could not transition over, but it also created new positions, which meant that when recruiting externally, we were able to populate those newly created roles.